I'm Jeff Fritz with SoundStage.com, and I'm joined today by Paul Hales. He is the owner, president, and product designer for Pro Audio Technology and Theory Audio Design based out of Southern California. Paul, how are you today?
I'm good, Jeff. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for being here. I want to jump right in. I think some of our SoundStage viewers slash readers probably recognize your name from high-end two-channel audio from, gosh, 20 some years ago. I remember first hearing your loudspeaker designs back at an audio show. I think it was in Los Angeles back in the late 90s. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you made it into the current companies that you own?
Sure. Yeah. So back in the 1900s, I designed speakers for high-end two-channel audio, much like the one behind you there. So from about 89 through 2000, I had a company called Hales Design Group. The brand name on the speakers was Hales. And so some of the older viewers might remember those speakers. Had a nice run, enjoyed it. But sort of towards the late 90s, I got a little disillusioned with audiophile kind of speakers because I felt like dynamically they were very limited, right? Not just for what at the time was new surround sound merging on the scene, laser disc and DVD was just starting to catch some momentum in the market. But I would go to the movie theater and watch movies, and I kind of wanted to be able to reproduce that sort of large scale sound. So in 2000, I was given the opportunity to join QSE Audio. If any of the viewers have any familiarity with the professional audio market, they would know that name. One of the biggest companies in the industry now. At that time in 2000, they were potentially the world's biggest manufacturer of power amplifiers, professional power amplifiers, and they wanted to get into the speaker business. And after attempting to acquire a few companies without success, they decided to just sort of develop a research and development department within QSC to get into the speaker business. And so they hired me at the time to head up R&D for loudspeakers. And so I joined in 2000. They were doing $0, zero sales in speakers, and now I think they're one of the biggest brands in loudspeakers on the professional side in the world. They do hundreds of millions of dollars in speakers
Wow.
everywhere. So yeah. So when I was there from 2000 2004. I set up a small team. I think there was 10 or 11 engineers on the team when I left, and we developed speakers for installed sound, both sort of small and medium format. So surface mount loudspeakers for bars, restaurants, clubs, convention centers. Larger ones for performing arts centers, theaters, things like that. Also commercial cinema, as well as speakers for live sound and concert touring and stuff. So, I learned a lot from the professional world how to use different components to solve different problems and to make speakers that were both very durable and rugged and would never fail, but also address the dynamic range required by those applications, right? And so actually, in 1998, when I was still at Hales, I designed a speaker called the Cinema Reference because I was frustrated with the sort of normal traditional cones and dome speakers that was typical of residential audio. When we tried to play movie soundtracks, the scale just wasn't there, and so I designed a speaker called Cinema Reference, which was a 15-inch two-way, the big horn, kind of a large format speaker. And then a couple 18-inch subs using these very exotic TAD drivers and stuff. And so for one of the CESs, I forget which one, probably 99, maybe 98, we had two rooms at CES. We had our music high-end two-channel room with the Hale speakers, and then we had a separate room where we played 5.1, and we had 5 of these 15-inch speakers and the subs. We made this giant movie sound. And most of our customers looked at me and looked back and looked at the speaker, and I was like, "What are you doing, dude? You can't use horns. Like, what's the matter with you?" And we thought it was great because we were finally reproducing a movie that sounded like a movie, right? And but we did have a dealer who caught on, grabbed onto it, and started to sell them A-list movie stars and the movie directors and things in Hollywood. And so In the 2003, 2004 timeframe, he actually, you know, he's a good friend of mine. We've been friends for 25 years. He called me up. He said, Paul, I need cinema reference. Like nobody makes anything like that. Can you do these for me? And to make a long story short, I, left QSC in 2004 essentially to make what is today Pro Audio Technology speakers, which are professional style speakers, but with residential installed sound in mind, right?
Well, and that's a great segue into Pro Audio Technology. When I was looking at the website, and you talk about professional products for the home, and I think most audiophiles now are at least somewhat familiar with the prosumer style products, the pro products that are kind of crossovers. Is that what we're talking about with Pro Audio Technology, or is it something slightly different?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. I'm glad you asked that in that way. So we have kind of a PowerPoint synopsis to try to convey to our customers and our partners what Pro Audio Technology is, and I use that terminology prosumer in that presentation, and I use the camera business as an example because I think it's the closest analogy. So if you know anything about cameras, SLR cameras, there's kind of a consumer level SLR that's maybe $500 for the camera, and then the pros are schlepping around these $6,000-7,000 very rugged, very high-end, state-of-the-art cameras. And then right in between those, there's a segment of the camera market called prosumer, where it has some of the pro features in the product, some of the consumer features in the product, and those cameras range about $2,000 to $3,000, something like that. So in audio, we have kind of a similar spread, but Pro Audio Technology is absolutely very much the professional grade. There's nothing consumer about the sort of the grade of the components we use or how the speakers are constructed or what they're capable of doing. I mean, you could do a Metallica concert tour with Pro with enough boxes, right? So which makes them very overbuilt for most residential theaters. But the benefit you get is we have a 10-year loudspeaker warranty, and you just cannot break the speakers. They're indestructible. So if anybody's had to replace a tweeter or burn up a mid-range driver or use woofers or anything, that just doesn't happen. We have very heavy-duty components, very high efficiency, very high power amplifiers like you would find in a genuinely professional installation, whereas some of the other brands that you might associate with being semi-professional or prosumer that are available for home theaters or even home audio, they're not quite at the same level of robustness or ruggedness. We have very, very high power components.
Well, and for any audiophile that's had name your brand audiophile speaker, and they've had to replace a mid-range or a tweeter, like you say, for listening at moderately loud levels, I think that would be pretty refreshing to have something that you just state flat out you probably can't break in a home environment. So that's interesting, and also the fact that it's not a watered down pro product. I guess what you're saying is if somebody buys this product, they're getting the real deal. It's not a pro product that in name only or in the visual design, but it's actually pro through and through in terms of the reliability and ruggedness.
That's right. And so what makes us unique is because I have an audiophile background, right? Despite the fact that they look like professional loudspeakers and the components are professional components like compression drivers and very large diameter woofers typically, I voice them like audiophile loudspeakers. So I think a lot of viewers might be surprised at the sound quality that I can get from a speaker that looks like a PA box. It sounds very much like the speaker behind me. In fact, the new Theory speaker we have a new very affordable Theory speaker that is just a remarkably good music speaker for a 2-channel. And they're affordable, and in some ways they're the best speakers I've ever designed. And I've been at this for 38 years now. So just because it has a professional type component like a compression driver doesn't mean it can't, in today's world anyway, doesn't mean it can't perform like a like a more traditional audiophile kind of speaker.
So you mentioned Theory Audio Design, your other company, and at SoundStage we are just in the process of starting a review of one of the sound bars. But I think when most of our viewers, they hear the term sound bar, they think about something that they can, put under one arm and carry, and just plop down on a shelf right below their TV and get going with it. But this is a pretty serious endeavor. When our writer let me know that the speaker had arrived, I think it came on a pallet, if I'm not mistaken. So, can you tell us a little bit about Theory Audio Design, and particularly maybe the seriousness of the sound bars you're making?
Yeah, so for the last 16 years now, for our dealers, when they have a client that's building a home or remodeling a home, and they're going to have a dedicated theater room, the dealers automatically reach for pro products for that room, right? But in an occasion, if we had a client that would make audio a top priority, for example, like we have some music industry professionals and things where audio is their business, they might use pro for distributed audio in the gym, in the great room, in the game room. So we would get some business in the rest of the house, but typically the pro products were just used in the theater. So what Theory is it takes the same design philosophy and same approach to the products, but it applies it to products like soundbars and on-wall speakers and in-ceiling speakers to address the rest of the house. So the media room, the great room, the family room, the master bedroom, distributed audio through the house and even in the backyard. So they are robust for sure. So it's not a very small, lightweight thing that you can, like you say, just kind of sit below your TV. But that's because high performance was the top priority design objective, right? In our assessment, soundbars, even some very expensive soundbars, while they sounded better than maybe the TV by itself, they didn't, in our opinion, sound enough better to really change it. Maybe dialogue's a little bit more intelligible. Maybe you've got a little bit wider bandwidth than a TV would have, but we didn't find them to be very high fidelity or accurate or satisfying. Theory products, while they're physically a little bit larger than some of the others, they can make full-scale theatrical sound from a soundbar hanging below your TV. So downstairs in the room I'm sitting in, this is the Pro showroom. Downstairs we have a Theory showroom. We have a 5.2.2 system similar to, or it might be the exact same system that Vince is listening to right now. It's 5.2.2, 85-inch soundbar, 4 little 3.5-inch deep speakers that can hang on the wall that kind of look like light sconces or something, and then 2 15-inch subwoofers that are all powered from one little 1U high box. There's 9 channels and 1,800 watts of power in this one little box. And that system can reproduce movies with the power and the scale that you might expect from a much, much larger system. Most people see it and they can't believe the size and the power of the sound coming out of what is very obviously a soundbar. And we've had some reviews. We had a reviewer just flat out declare it the finest soundbar in the world. So it is definitely a different experience, and nobody's really making anything like this at the moment.
Well, that sounds tremendous. I can't wait to read our writer's review, and I really appreciate the time. And I do have one more question for you, Paul. And with your vast listening experience, like I said, I remember meeting you back in the late '90s. Can you share with us a recent listening experience, maybe with either a Pro or a Theory product that you've had that's just really blown you away?
Yeah, well, so the question is kind of timely, actually, because we have in the Theory showroom down there, we have that 5.2.2 system, but we also have a stereo system in there too. And one of the unique features about Theory and Pro products too is, like, Tesla owners can wake up one day and their car's better. The car goes faster, or the autopilot is better because they've done a firmware update over the air. Well, the theory system and the pro systems are like that too. So if we develop a better voicing for a particular speaker model, for example, it can easily be loaded into the loudspeaker controller, and all of a sudden the system that you already own is all of a sudden better, right? So recently we introduced a new voicing for the little SB25. We call it a multi-use speaker. It can be a stereo speaker, it can be a distributed audio speaker, it could be part of a surround sound system. And that speaker is quite good, just as a standalone speaker in stereo. And so we have visitors through here, and in 1 week I had a group that was an integrator that kind of specialized in both residential but also professional audio in the LA area. So mixing rooms, so small studios, mix down rooms, things like that. Plus they did residential products too. And then a few days later, I had a couple guys from the local Audio Engineering Society board members come down, and the one guy's background was broadcast studios, and so mix rooms for TV and broadcast, things like that. And it was interesting because I started out by playing them stereo, right? And so you have these two speakers that are only 3.5 inches deep, and they're not very big from the front, and it just makes this gigantic holographic, very dense 3D sound field. And they go much lower in frequency than you'd expect. They go literally down into the 50s, mid-low 50s from a speaker, again, that's only 3 inches thick. And so both groups had the same reaction, and they were laughing. And so I'm sitting here doing this very serious demo, and I'm showing off this little speaker and stuff, and they're laughing. And so at the end, I finally asked, I said, you were laughing? And he goes, yes, in delight, because this sound is so unexpected, and it's just compelling anyway. It's just a very compelling sound coming out of the speaker. So it's a delight in that it, even without dwelling on all the audiophilia, right, and all the terminology and imaging and sound staging and image density and black background and all that stuff. It's just instantly a super, very compelling, big, fun, engaging sound. And these guys actually laughed because they couldn't believe what they were hearing, right? So that was memorable because as a loudspeaker designer, I mean, that's the goal, right? I design this stuff so people can enjoy it. It's gratifying for us when we create these products, when somebody uses the product and derives a lot of pleasure from them, right? That's our objective. I mean, we're a business for sure, and we have all our business objectives, but I'm designing speakers for a reason. I'm a music lover, and I've been since I was a kid, and that's what got me into this in the first place. And so that is gratifying for us when somebody has such an emotional reaction, almost instantly to the product that kind of, provides an engaging sound that it really, for its price and its size, has no business doing. So that's my sort of most recent memorable experience with the brands.
Well, you've certainly piqued my interest. I can't wait to hear a pro system or a theory system. I'm not sure when I'll get the opportunity, but it sounds tremendous, and it really is a little different approach for someone who's an audiophile and is maybe considering a different type of product for their home than the typical audiophile speaker. So, well, Paul, thank you so much. I really appreciate you joining me today, and good luck with Pro and with Theory. And for the viewers out there, be sure to stay tuned to SoundStage Access, where our Theory audio design review will be published in the coming months. And Paul, take it easy, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jeff.